Hey guys, Guggen here. We are looking at Demon Souls. Just so you're aware, I will be sort of pseudo after the fact, live commentary. I'm not going to do a scripted commentary, but it's not going to be a live commentary. I'm still sort of trying to figure out the easiest way to work with my setup and the PlayStation, and it's kind of iffy. Anyway, so what I'm doing right now is going to basically be this. Yes, I am talking through the cutscenes here. I will probably not talk through the cutscenes and wait till they're done. Which means you probably won't hear anything I just said. Hi guys, Guggen here. We are doing Demon Souls. I haven't played this game in a very long time, and I finally got my hands on a PS5, and it required that I buy it with a bundle with the game. So that was actually a big help for me, because I plan to play this game anyway. So, I am playing offline because I don't know if playing online affects world tendency the way it did in the original. And as you're probably seeing here, I did decide to play as a female character because there are a couple of items that I plan to use for farming and things like that that actually are female only. Personally, I don't care if I'm playing male or female, but advantages. I don't play heavy armor, which I gather are some of the there's some heavy armors that are male only, and I don't really play heavy armor. And also, I do apologize, there seems to be some flickering in the video. Mostly, I'm not exactly sure what's causing it, but I was really trying to figure out the best way to record. I think I did most of these recordings with PlayStation 5's inbuilt recording system. Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with it as I am with OBS recording. Also, this commentary is not live. It is after the fact, but it is also not scripted. I'm going to try to give a rough idea of what I was doing, planning, thinking as I went through the game. And yeah, so here I was looking through the starting gifts. There's a new ring that caught my attention. I do not remember this from the original game, and I believe I actually ended up taking it. Relatively certain I ended up taking it, actually, because I remember using it through most of the game. I don't know how much of a difference it actually made, practically, but I believe it gives you, like, plus 50 discovery or plus 100 discovery. I do not remember which. Anyway, so, I took that. As usual, I named my character Guggen. I selected the Thief class because I'm planning on doing a Dex build.
King the 12th,
and I'll leave this be for a minute.
The power of souls brought unprecedented prosperity to his northern kingdom of BOLETARIA. That is, until the colorless deep fog swept across the land. BOLETARIA was cut off from the outside world, and those who dared penetrate the deep fog never returned. But Valifax of the royal twin fangs broke free from the fog and told the world of BOLETARIA's plight. That the old King Alant had roused the Old One, the great beast below the Nexus, from its eternal slumber, and that a colorless fog had swept in, unleashing terrible demons. The demons hunt down men and claim their souls. Those who lose their souls lose also their minds. The mad attack the sane, and chaos reigns. Valifax also spoke of the enticing power of the demon souls. Each time a demon claims a human soul, the demon's own soul is invigorated by the life force, and the power of a mature demon soul is beyond human imagination. The legend spread quickly. Mighty warriors lured by the possibilities braved the fissure to breach the accursed land, but none have returned. Pure of the Twin Fangs, Yurt the Silent Chief, Saint Urbane, Scurva the Wanderer, the Sixth Saint Astraea with her Knight Garl Vinland, and Sage Frake the Visionary. The colorless deep fog slowly creeps beyond Boletaria's borders. Humankind faces a slow and steady extinction. The deep fog will eventually swallow all lands near and far. But Boletaria has one final hope. A lone warrior who has braved the baneful fog. Oh, has the land found its savior? Or have the demons found a new slave?
Brave soul who fears not death. I shall guide you to the fissure. So that you may lull the Old One back to slumber.
Okay, so cutscenes are over. I will try to be silent during them, for those people who haven't seen them. And as you can see here, I'm trying to sort out my controls a little bit, and also marveling at the game. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful. Admittedly, I have not played Demon Souls in a very long time prior to this, but the difference is so astronomical. I actually was tempted to pull out my old one to get comparison photos, but there's plenty of those online already. I do believe the game started in cinematic mode, and I probably changed that. And also, it might have been recording in HDR originally, which could be explaining that flickering that's constantly going on. Again, I do apologize for that. Also, there's an AC going in the room behind me, and I'm hoping that I've got my mic set up in such a way that it doesn't pick it up. It's a cardioid mic, and I got it just a few feet from my face, and it's not facing the air conditioner, so hopefully between all that, yay. As you can see, I am just marveling at the game, to the point where I actually got turned around and ended up running back to the beginning before I realized what I was doing. And I really do need to get a different recording setup here. When I tried to record to my laptop using my Elgato, I had to turn off the HDMI security. I forgot what it's called. And that actually prevented it from running HDR, and I really wanted to play in HDR. So I ended up doing the recordings with the PS5, although I do believe the first couple recordings might be without HDR, but don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I recorded these, at least a week or so. And I believe right here I was setting up some settings. But I have played the game before, full disclosure. It was many years ago, and I did nearly platinum the game. I think I was needed like 1 soul to get 1 miracle or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But that was like 10 years ago. Since then, I haven't really played it all that much. I have played all the Souls games, 1, 2, 3, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne. I even played Sekiro all the way through a couple times. So I'm familiar, obviously, with mechanics, and I've played Demon Souls enough way back when to be relatively familiar with the layouts and mechanics. Just for fun, I am going to keep track of death counts, things like that. And overall, it shouldn't be all that bad. Every once, I will, if my character is standing around for a long period of time, I will try to edit that out. There's plenty of occasions where I had to get up from my computer and or go help someone or look something up real quick. My mother just got out of surgery couple months ago, and she still hasn't recovered, so there's been a few times I've had to go help her and things like that, but I will try to edit those out. So you'll probably see some cuts here and there. I tried to make them as unobtrusive as I could, but you'll probably notice the slight skip to a degree when it happens. Also, I cut out a lot of the running around in town and farming and upgrading, things like that. I tried to keep it on the interesting stuff, running through the levels, fighting the bosses. And for that, I think I did a relatively good job. I did die a lot more than I was hoping I would, but yeah, the controls seem a whole lot smoother than they did in the original. But again, I hadn't played it in a long time, so that could just be my imagination. That flickering, though, is really getting irritating. It was not there in the original when I was actually recording it. It could be because my PlayStation 5 recorded in WebM and I had to convert it, so it could be an artifact from that. It could be due to HDR. I'm not really certain at the moment. As I understand it, HDR recording has the capability of trying to go non-HDR, but I'm not really certain. Although if this continues, I might have to, for future recordings, change it up. Unfortunately, this entire playthrough is already recorded before I realized there was an issue. So, I do apologize again. Hopefully you can ignore it. Also, there seems to be a graphical artifact on the bottom of the screen. Just like the first 70 or so pixels or something like that at the very bottom. Anyway, this is tutorial area, and I haven't really been describing it all that much because it's pretty well straightforward. I started with a dagger. It doesn't have a whole lot of range, so I tend to spend a lot of time just getting around behind enemies and backstabbing them. These blue-eyed knights are relatively easy if you circle them around to their right, to your left, just like that. Generally, they will not hit you with their shield, and you can get a good backstab in. And then you can just sort of finish them off as they're standing up. If you swing too early, you'll miss them, but dagger doesn't use a whole lot of stamina, so you can just keep swinging until you hit them. I am playing in offline mode. Again, like I said, that prevents world tendency changes. I don't know if those are still a thing on the remake. I'm assuming they are. This was my first playthrough, so I didn't want to take a chance because there's some things you can only do on pure white or pure black. And at the very least, I wasn't necessarily planning on going pure black for my first playthrough, but I was planning on going at least pure white on some, if not all of the areas. And I didn't want to have it screwed up just because I turned off the game and turned it back on again. So, this area is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. As long as you'll notice I keep my shield up constantly. It's because I wasn't sure if I was remembering things properly. I didn't want to take a chance of something catching me off guard. I'm also running around really cautiously. The shield I've got is not a 100% block shield. It's a buckler, and it does have chip damage that breaks through. I I do tend to play with a shield. It's my preference. And I generally prefer a 100% block shield. I do like to dodge whenever I can. However, I do like having that shield as a backup for those areas when I can't react all that fast. I'm not the super high-end gamers that some of these people are. I've seen some people go through the game without taking a hit. I'm not that good, and I generally run around with minimal gear. Because dodging just seems to work better for me, and the shield is more of a emergency backup, or in the case of at least one boss, it prevents me from dying outright due to chip damage when I'm fighting them. Well, actually more like AoE damage that I'm not very good at dodging. Since I am going with a dex build, I will be aiming for the Uchigatana and sticky compound longbow. Bleh. And surprise, surprise! In this playthrough, I actually got the mats to upgrade my sword to max on my first playthrough. I actually got 2 pure blade stones in the one playthrough. So. Before I got both pure blade stones before I even got enough chunks to upgrade to finish upgrading it. As you can see, I decided to face tank an axe, and it didn't go so well. And generally, this guy here, as long as you stay behind him and dodge his attacks, it's usually pretty simple. I hadn't played in a long time, and I kind of lost track. And kind of, well, you'll see here in just a second here. Dodge. Also, I'm using a dagger, so this would take absolutely forever to kill him. Failure is not really a huge problem. You do lose out on a few grass and some souls and things like that, but nothing major that can't be made up later. In my defense, though, I'm doing far better on this one than I have done in the past. Previous playthroughs, I don't think I've ever managed to kill this guy on a new game playthrough. New game plus, yes. New game, I don't think I've ever managed to kill him. I should not be hitting him in the stomach there. Should always be hitting him in the tail. In that sort of bouncy, blubbery thing. But overall, I lasted a whole lot longer than I thought I would. I should be backing off right here. Oh, yeah. See, I know a little bit about what I'm doing. Waiting for him to come back to the middle of the room. Unfortunately, it looks like I decided not to dodge properly. Stand up and take the final hit. I was doing so well for so long.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended. This is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of BOLETARIA. Thou canst not quit the Nexus, but the 5 archstones will guide thee to the outer lands.
Welcome to the Nexus. There is one thing you can do if you're looking for an interesting playthrough that I was unaware of. Right behind me, you'll see a statue. I don't know if you'll see it in here. I kind of knew what I was doing already. I just sort of made sure my gear, that flickering is really starting to irritate me. But back there in the corner, you'll see a statue. And if you have 20,000 souls, you can activate Fractured Mode, which I did not find out until this playthrough was almost over. but I would have probably loved to have played through in that because it just basically flips everything horizontally. It just changes the way the game plays, and if you're used to it being the one way, it can really throw you off because you go around a corner thinking that, and actually go to dodge an attack that you think is coming from one direction and end up getting hit in the back. So this area here is usually for magic users. You'll be that's where most of your magic user vendors will be. Over on the other side, back behind the stone where I'm standing, would be the miracle, which I believe there's only one. There's a basic for each one available. You need a minimum of 10 intel or faith to be able to pick them up. You'll notice later on I do end up with 10 faith. Later on, I do end up with 10 faith and 10 intel because I do use spells and miracles, albeit on a very basic level. I'm just sort of looking around right now. I know there's items back here, so I run back and get them. And as I mentioned before, I've played the game before, so I know roughly where everything is, but I am kind of exploring a bit because the game looks absolutely beautiful. Some people didn't like the aesthetic changes. Me, I don't really mind so much. The game just, it looks like it was designed for the modern era. The layouts are identical. The gameplay is almost identical. I didn't have any problems, as you saw, picking up backstab capabilities. I did check over here, make sure the gate was locked. This does open at pure white. I believe all of them start at neutral, which is, I think, 4 out of 7. Don't quote me on that. And I believe that one opens if you can get to 6 out of 7 toward white, assuming 7 is white and 1 is black. Character tendency is affected by other things. Character tendency tends to go down if you die in soul form, or in human form, and up if you kill black phantoms, whether PvP or either PvP or NPC ones. Yeah. There's a lot of things about this game. I'll probably miss some details here and there. I'll try to remember to add annotations if I need to, but there'll probably some things I'm going to miss. This is not a walkthrough. This is my first playthrough of the remake of Demon Souls. And yeah. Oop, I forgot about him. Got me in the back. That flailing attack can kill you pretty easily. It's hard to say, but I think they toned down the damage in this early part. I could be wrong, because that flailing attack, I remember, would used to be able to just completely annihilate you. And if you've played any of the Souls games, later ones, you'll probably have noticed that that flailing attack is actually a common attack for your starter zombie, undead, hollow, whatever you want to call them, enemy, depending on their game. And here you see me trying to parry and failing horribly. Really horribly. I've never really been all that good at parrying. You'll see me try it a few times here and there, but generally I just give up and move on, which causes me no end of trouble with the final boss of the vanilla Dark Souls. The fire guy, I forgot his name. I'll probably remember it later when I don't need to know it. Anyway. I I'm just following a pretty generic path. I'm looking to see if there's items above that are... I remember being there. I can see the corpses there, so I know they're still there. I just got to remember to get them. I'm not 100% certain, but I wonder if you can actually cut them down with a bow from the ground. I've never tried. Don't fall in the glowy pit. I'm not real fond of the dagger. I do like it for the speed it can hit with. As a general rule, the faster a weapon attacks, the more useful it is to me. You'll notice I think I switched to the mail breaker here because it dropped. But you'll probably also notice I actually, even though it's got a little higher damage, I end up switching back to the dagger down the road because the mail breaker is actually much slower. And it attacks straight forward. It has no slash capability. It doesn't cover any area. One reason I like the Uchigatana is because it uses a fair bit of stamina, but it's very fast and it has a huge range along with being fast. Compared to other fast weapons such as the or other long range weapons such as the halberd or the dragon bone great smasher, things like that. They have a huge range and actually huge damage per hit, but they're so slow. Even the halberd, which compared to the dragon bone smasher is actually very fast, relatively it's slow. As you can see, I'm just being very cautious going through here. I know I don't have a 100% shield, but so far I haven't really noticed the lack. I generally just get behind the enemy, stab him in the back, and move on. It's actually pretty bog standard gameplay, not a huge amount of fancy stuff going on. Partially because I'm not very good at the fancy stuff. In here, there's a couple items on the ground. I generally take care of this guy up here first. This is the first one that had enough health that it took forever. That used, I think, an entire stamina bar to kill it. Sorry about that. And I believe there's another mail breaker right here. The mail breaker looks a lot different. I believe it looked like a rapier in the original game. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to dig it out and turn it on and go find it to know for sure. Fire enemies, if they hit you, they will stagger you, almost guaranteed. And actually the reverse is also true. If you hit an enemy with a fire attack, there's a very high probability of them being staggered unless they're immune to fire, which there are some enemies that are. Those things hurt like you would not believe. This is actually, those barrels can actually cause problems if a fire attack hits them. I believe they can explode, which does not end well for you if you happen to be nearby them. So right up here, I've actually in the past died here a lot. Generally, not from this guy, he's pretty quick, but the next guy up is a little better equipped, and I usually go to dodge around them or walk around them and screw up and end up rolling off the edge or backing off the edge. Or I'll backstab them and they'll go off the edge, and for some reason I'll follow them. All kinds of weird stuff like that. Testing out my weapon. Also trying to get his attention, bring him out here. There he is. And I got my first parry riposte. And it couldn't have gone any better. Stab this guy in the back. Now there's an item down on the left down there. Just underneath my feet. You cannot get to it. You can get to it after the next section here. After this boulder comes rolling down. You just got to remember to go in and get it. I believe it's a claymore, which is a really nice starter weapon for like a strength or quality build, or whatever the equivalent of a quality build is for, or bastard sword, not a claymore. Whatever the equivalent of a quality build would be for demon souls. I've only ever really played dex builds. I know people say magic is overpowered, etc., etc. I've never really found them all that interesting to play, though. I've always preferred dex builds. I'm being shot in the back right now, which you see me backing up so I can avoid the... And I've tried parrying him because I can't seem to get behind him. And I decided to just kill him the hard way. Gotta go pay back that crossbowman. He doesn't take much. So, up here a ways, there is a guy, if you're skilled enough, you can take him on. He's a red eye spear carrier knight, spear and shield. And he can drop a fair amount of souls, but he's also very powerful, can probably one-shot you at this point, if you screw up even once. That guy shot me through a very tight shot, and I'm very surprised over it, so I killed him. And then I picked up the half moon grass next to him, which more than made up for it. But yeah, through that door behind me. Oh, I do go look. And then there is an optional boss out here as well. Yep, you can see him down there. There's an optional boss down there, but you need a key to get in there later, which I actually do not get this playthrough because the NPC I'm supposed to get it from vanished on me. And I'm not exactly sure what happened to it. So, if any of you know, great. Blue-Eyed Knight, same thing as before, just walk around him. And I missed my backstab. Probably the first backstab I've missed this entire playthrough so far. These guys will heal if you leave them alone for too long. Knocked him off. I gotta go down here anyway. I don't have to, but I like collecting things. And there's a crossbow down here. And I picked it up. I don't actually use the crossbow at all. I do kill this guy. Oh, I healed before I jumped down. As you can see, not blocking that fire attack actually staggered me quite badly. And so I moved on. And, well, I didn't move on. I killed him after I recovered. The enemies that have fire on their weapons and can attack fast can actually be a problem. Because they will stagger you and stagger you and stagger you and stagger you. So I ignore this fog wall on my left initially because I'm going to go unlock the next shortcut. And so far so good. It has to be the HDR that's causing it. I generally just stand back right here, let these two kill themselves. The fire on the ground can hurt you, even after the initial explosion, so just keep your distance. These are the fire weapons I was talking about earlier that can stagger you over and over again, especially if you get caught in that flail combo. Go outside here, break a couple of chains. And that drops a couple of bodies on the ground down below. And down here, this can get a bit iffy if you're not careful. You'll see a bunch of guys running up the stairs. Down below, you'll see barrels everywhere. And what I'm trying to do here is get them to a point where after they aggro to me, they jump up and they try to do their leaping attack and they land on the barrels underneath, which will kill them. They didn't jump. That one jumped too far, and I had to back up a bit because they were already coming around the corner. That corner that one's standing at is the corner you want them to fall down. Because you can see the barrels down there, and if they hit them, they will kill themselves. And right there. I think I worked it out better that time and got them. Killed most of them all in one go. You do not want to be anywhere near those barrels when they nick them. They will kill you quite quickly. Pick up a lot of pine resin in the area. In here, I believe you'll find a cling ring. This will increase your maximum HP in soul form from 50% up to 75%. Which can be a big help early on. You'll notice I do not actually improve my health for quite a while. So most of that gear I just picked up is female only. Not that it matters for my given playthrough because I don't use that gear. I've never been one for the Fashion Souls games. I just sort of try to pick whatever's most practical. So, if I've got weight limits, you'll see me strip down to just a shield, a weapon, and, well, not much else. And I've even gone through the game like that. Just keep my roll speed at highest it'll go. Without having to raise my... I believe it's endurance that does that. That raises that. Down here, you'll see me go in and trigger a bit of an explosion up here just to get it out of the way. If you need them, back in there is a vendor that sells shields and a few other odds and ends and so on and so forth. You'll notice that I just skip him, actually, completely. He's down there, I think on the right? I don't remember exactly. Not really needed, unless you need arrows for something, which I didn't. I started with enough arrows for what I needed to do here. That is the Thief's Ring, which is a very useful thing. If I didn't have the new ring, the Providence Band or whatever they gave me, I would probably 90% of the game would have the Thief's Ring and the Cling Ring equipped. Here, what I'm trying to do, and failing for the most part, is shoot these guys in the head, or shoot them in general. I don't know if they get extra damage from being shot in the head. I don't believe they do. But anyway, there's a bonfire just below my feet, and if they walk into it, they will die. I'm trying to save myself a little bit on the arrows, but they don't want to cooperate. So, that's why you'll see I'm just going through them, like, shooting each one once, and finally I just give up and just start shooting them. Possibly because of the the Thief's Ring. If I hadn't put it on, maybe it wouldn't be such a problem. Either way. Hop down, pick up a couple of items, talk with,
My thanks.
oh, Ostrava. Yes, he's the one that actually gives you the key to get into that mausoleum, to fight that, optional boss. In here, if you're on fractured mode, there's one of the coins that you need to collect. You need 30, I think it was. Don't quote me. It's been a while. I didn't even find out about them till late in the game, so yeah. Try not to hit Ostrava. I think if you nick him once, it's not really a problem, but try not to if you can avoid it. There's a falchion on your left here. This is a... Oh, a scimitar, not a falchion. This is a good swap-out weapon. It's got more range, which you'll notice is why I actually take it. It's not as fast as the dagger, but it gets the job done. It also doesn't have as good a backstab damage. But yeah, right there on my right is where that one would be. You can see me here trying to get a backstab on this guy. I'm also trying to be careful of Ostrava, which is why I'm not just swinging wildly, but Ostrava finishes the guy off handily. Move around. I usually escort him through this area. I don't think he needs it, because later on, if you run through here again, he tends to be able to take care of most of this on his own, but just for fun, I always follow him around, plus there's some items to pick up in the area. Over here, there's a small army down below. You want to be careful of fire. If you have a firebomb, just chuck it in there. Everything will go boom. I decided to do this the hard way. I figured I'd weaken them all so he can just finish them off one hit at a time. Oop, ran out of arrows right there. I prefer not to get out here in the middle of this, because there's too high a risk of hitting him. If you got a firebomb handy, ready to go, run up here and throw it in there before they can start attacking each other, before Ostrava gets down here. That's actually can be a big help. And yes, enemies can attack through walls. Lots of grass. And I do believe there's a couple of upgrade stones back in here too. Right there. 3 and 3. One more enemy in this area, and then we start moving on. The weapon he's carrying actually deals magic damage, and I believe the shield is high magic resistance as well. Not the highest in the game. You gotta go to World 5 for that. And finish World 5. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway. That's the last one he'll fight, and he'll just patrol back and forth. You can actually look around in here and see the guys you're about to fight next. Go out the door. In my case, heal up. I still have the thief's ring on. And that was not the smartest strategy I've ever done. It did seem to mostly work, but that could have gone badly for me real quick, especially once they all start flailing. I do, however, recommend you leave the thief's ring on here to prevent the people above from coming down and joining in. Normally, if you don't go and get a Strava and get the thief's ring and everything, you'll be coming down up there on the left. You'll see me go up and backstab a guy that would be on the path. And there's a couple of guys above who would normally jump down and ambush you, etc., etc. That building up there on the left up there, I believe, is the one with the other end of the firebomb guy. There with another firebomb. And then you just run up here, kill this guy. By this point, these low-level zombies shouldn't even register as a threat. There is a guy on that platform below that I did miss, ignore, forget about, whatever the case may be. Anyway, I learned here the hard way that trying to attack him right up against that. That is another thing to keep in mind. Your weapon swing matters. And that's a couple of times gotten me killed when I swung, when I should have been able to. I took an attack that I thought I could just finish off the enemy real quick, but it turned out that my weapon bounced off a wall, and instead of killing the enemy, I stood there while they stabbed me in the stomach or something and killed me. Anyway, mechanics aside, go out here. I finished killing these guys off. Most zones, I think I pick up most items. There's a couple of them that I miss here and there, either because I don't need them or I didn't know about them. Either one is a possibility. There are a couple that I missed permanently because, well, the enemy who dropped them, I died before I could loot them. So, I will try to point those out when they come up, though. Anywho. Moving on. This seems like a really boring run, and that's a good thing because this is a very long run back. And I was actually surprised I made it this far without dying. These two guys can actually cause all kinds of problems. Easiest way for me that I've found to deal with them is just keep walking in circles till you can get one of them to present their back to you. You can take out one, the other one's a whole lot easier to fight. Attacking them when they are ready to attack back is a bad idea. They can actually attack with their shields up. That's the advantage of a spear. Up here, over on the left over there, you'll see me go over there later. I'm not going to go over there right now. Right now, I'm keeping an eye out for the dragon. And trying to make sure I leave my shield up as much as I can. There's the dragon, and I'm going to wait for the dragon to clear the path. Some people run through on the very first attempt. There is plenty of time, but it's also risky because of how many enemies are there. I generally wait for the dragon to clear me a path. Dragon will do 2 or 3 strafes across the bridge, and then the dragon will fly away. When the dragon flies away, not just back to the other end of the bridge, that is your cue to get across the bridge. There will still be a couple of enemies at the end that you will have to avoid, but overall, it shouldn't be that hard. There's the dragon flying away. Now's your chance to run. Don't worry about looting anything because the dragon will come back just as soon as it gets a chance to. So I generally just run past everything. Once you're here, you're safe. And later on, you can go back. And the items that the enemies dropped when they died are not worth risking a dragon for. And any permanent items on the bridge will still be there. Anything that was already sitting there when you started. So I decided not to risk it. You pull the lever here. This actually opens the path to the boss of this area, which is all the way back at the very beginning of the level. And luckily for us, the game developers decided to put a shortcut back to the beginning, because walking all the way back to the beginning would have been tedious. So go around the corner here. There's an item back behind me that I completely forgot about. And then here, I decided to fight spear guys in a very narrow corridor with a weapon with a wide swing. And I decided to fight 2 of them. As you can see, my weapon bounced off the wall, and then I got stabbed 3 times. And then I did not heal, ran forward, and died. As you can see here, I just sort of jumped ahead to where I got back my souls. For those who are interested in how I got here, bottom right. As you can, if you remember right, I'm only about 20 feet from where I died before. This allows me to just continue on. There's my souls right there. As you can see, I'm being a lot more cautious this time around. Dragging them out, and then they decide to go back in. And that wide swing of this damn sword really gets me on these tight corridors. That's another reason I like Uchigatana. On those tight corridors, it has a stab, which is a big help for dealing with really tight corridors because, well, it doesn't hit the wall. And that stab has a fair amount of reach. And from here, I'm pretty much home free. Just walk down these stairs, around a few corridors. There are a couple of quirks left. The hoplites that are around here tend to cause some problems because they like to be in narrow areas and they're shielded on the front. So unless you can get behind them, you can't really do much damage to them. Yeah, I saw some weird attack. That one right there. I was trying to figure out what that was. Because it's not the normal. At first, it took me a bit to figure it out, but that is the what would normally be like a kick on the Uchigatana, or most other weapons, actually, for that matter, a shove or a kick. This weapon here apparently gets a different one. So I was sitting there experimenting with it, trying to figure out if it'd be useful. Turns out it can be, but the jump back isn't far enough to make a real practical difference. Despite these guys' weapons being on their right, they can still stab you pretty well. They can still hit you even if you're on their left. So keep that in mind. Don't think you're safe just because you're on the opposite side. There's an item out here that you can grab. Here's another one. That first one's the hardest one because these ones you can pretty much just walk around. These guys can drop hardstone shards, and maybe large hardstone shards, don't quote me on that, which can be helpful when you're first upgrading your shields or heavy armors or blunt weapons. Also, these guys blend in pretty damn well, so it is hard to notice that they're about to shoot you with something. See, a couple hardstone shards, a couple of items on the ground. Pull the lever, and we are back at the beginning of the game. And now we're time for the first boss. For this boss, having pine resin and or the fire bombs can be a big help. It's not that hard of a boss. Just keep your patience. Don't get too greedy. Even if you're not really familiar with the boss, it shouldn't be that hard. You can see I'm checking to make sure I've got some fire bombs or pine resin. I've got pine resin right now, and there's some fire bombs. I don't think I actually used the pine resin. I think I just used the bombs. And the bombs are just helpful because they can... Well, you'll see here in a second. You remember the hoplites, how hard they are to damage from the front? Well, there's a crap ton of them in here. And they're covering the boss. So, doing damage to the boss, or even doing damage to the hoplites, can be difficult because you can't get behind them, and they are facing 360 degrees. Hence, the boss is named Phalanx. As you can see, fire bombs clear these guys out pretty quickly. You can fight this completely manually without fire bombs and whatnot, but you have to wait for the hoplites to drop off and then finish them off bit by bit. As you can see, I cleared off a big chunk of the boss, so I can actually attack the boss right now, but I'm choosing not to. This is pretty early on, and souls are helpful. So, every one of these guys I kill is another potential drop of hardstone, as well as souls. And I just randomly threw a firebomb at a wall for fun, I guess. As you can see, when I do throw a firebomb, I try to throw it so that it's hitting ones in the middle or back. They do still reduce damage if the firebomb hits them in the front. Although it still does a fair amount of damage, it's not as much as if it hits them in the back. So, as you can see, trying to hit them in the back is very difficult and can be frustrating. And the reason I walk around their right side to swing is because my weapon swings from the right. So if you can get the angle just right, you can still hit them and you can do full damage and sort of hook behind their shield to hit them. So you'll see me. And then also, if you do the minimal damage, hit them in the face enough times, they fall off anyway. Or they fall off randomly, like that guy did. After they're all dead, the boss just kind of sits there. He can run away, but as you can see, not much to him. I believe I'm looking around to make sure there's no hoplites left. I don't see any, and I think I'm about to kill him here in just a second. Don't need a shield for this part. Hence, two-handing makes it a little bit quicker. My weapon does have some bleed on it, so you can see it's just ticking away on him little by little. Bleed doesn't do a whole lot, but for bosses where you have to back off and avoid them for long periods of time, the bleed can actually add up pretty quick. That might be copyrighted. Anyway. Demon Vanquished. Whenever you kill an enemy, you do restore yourself to full health, or to full life. This can actually be a problem, because if you die while alive, your world tendency goes down. And if you're trying to get to pure white, that can actually be a problem, because you only get a limited number of bosses to kill, which is the only way to increase world tendency. So if you die in body form, you lose one of those boss kills. Anywho, back here. I am going to shut up now because we've got some running around to do.
Welcome back.
And I will get back to you after the monumental.
The monumental awaits the above. The monumental will explain the Nexus to thee.
We have long awaited you, slayer of demons. I am one of the monumentals. We preserve. There is a tale I wish to tell. Once, we too were a scourge of demons. In the distant past, under benevolent rule, the world was united owing to the soul arts. Until a lust for power caused the awakening of the Old One. Across the land seeped a colorless, deep fog, and the world faced extinction at the hands of the demons. Thanks be, we were able to lull the Old One back to its slumber, yet only after the loss of innumerable souls, and most of the world, lost, erased by the fog. In order to mend the fabric of what lands still remained, we entrusted 6 leaders with 6 precious archstones, one to the king of a small yet industrious land, one to the king of the burrowers underground, one to the wise queen of the great ivory tower, one to the chieftain of lost and ill-fortuned souls, one to the shaman of the tempest-worshipping shadowmen, and the last to the great giants of the northern lands. The archstones were placed in the fringelands that survived. We contained the Old One here below the Nexus and prohibited the soul arts. Finally, we became monumentals, half-living sentinels of the fabric of reality. Alas, The other monumentals have perished, and only I remain.
Anyway, so the monumental is going to ask you a question, yes or no, if you're willing to take on a task. If you hit no, you lose your chance to get a ring. If you hit yes, you keep the chance to get the ring. You do have to get to pure white character tendency, not world tendency, but character tendency to do that, which requires killing a number of black phantoms, which usually requires getting to black world tendency. It can get confusing. There's a reason you don't deal with this stuff in the Dark Souls trilogy or any of the others. Personally, I don't mind the complexity. I do wish they had not, at least in the original, tied it to the average world tendency of the... They hadn't tied world tendency to the average online world tendency. I'm going upstairs right now because I'm pretty sure there was something up here, but because I'm playing offline, the door is locked. If I was playing online, I believe I could get in there, and I think there's an item in there. So, then we go back downstairs. You saw the path I took to get up. It's pretty much exactly the same to go back down. Oh. Yeah. This is probably one of the few times you're going to see me running around in the Nexus all that much. Most of the time I'm going to cut these out just to save time. Because most of it's pretty much the same. Run around, talk to her, clear out my inventory, things like that. I know they've put in a thing so you can send things straight to your inventory or straight to stash, but I'm really not all that fond of... Well, I mean, it's a nice thing to have, but I prefer having an empty inventory so I don't have to sit there and tell it every time to send something to stash. So, the reason I'm going to World 4. So, I'm after... Like I said before, I'm after the Uchigatana and the spider... Or, yeah, sticky, long... compound longbow. Okay. Both of those base weapons are found in World 4. I don't know why I just turned around and came back. Oh, I didn't spend my souls. I didn't level up.
Pretty.
Yep. She talks a lot.
What is it? Seek us down.
Yes, I want to seek soul power.
After all, go. Let these vagabonds.
You'll notice that I increased my strength. This is because my strength is fairly low because I started as a thief, and I need to get it up to, I believe, 22 total in order to utilize all the gear I'm planning on picking up, and that's as high as my strength is going to go. I'm going to go to 22 and stop. I believe the first shield upgrade I'm going to get requires like 16 strength, and then the second one requires 22. And the bow, I believe, requires 18. Don't quote me on that.
Withdrawn from its vessel. Art thou finished? May thy strength.
Oh, I already have that. Yep, requires 16 strength. I don't remember picking that up, but I guess I did at some point. It is a 100% block shield for physical, so I will be swapping to it. That way I don't deal with chip damage. I don't know why I'm comparing them back and forth so much. I already know it's better in pretty much every regard except for weight. And I'm going to need it because the enemies in this area hit like freaking Mack trucks for low-level characters. This is the world I die the most in, by a long shot. And the reason I die so much is because I'm here effectively at too low of a level, and I try to force my way through. You'll notice that I do almost no damage. 65 on a backstab. It's about a quarter of his life. Non-backstabs are almost not worth it. It takes 3 of them to do the same. I understand they are weak to blunt. I obviously was not using a blunt weapon. And I know that they are also weak to magic and or fire. Or at least they do enough damage to make it worthwhile. The black ones, I believe, are more weak to fire than magic. Yeah, that surprised me a little bit. Up there, you'll see that thing right above my head there. That's an item I'm after. It's going to be I think something that on TV tropes they would call a disc 1 nuke. It's a very powerful weapon for what it is, and you can get it really early and really easily, assuming you can survive these guys. As you can see, I don't have much in the way of the ability to stop their attacks. My stamina, even at full, they can break through it pretty easily. It's going to be a while before I can take their attacks with impunity. Hence me dodging as much as I can, avoiding their attacks as much as I can. This guy on the right shoots magic arrows. They will damage me through the shield, and if they don't hit the shield and hit me directly, they do a lot of damage. That overhead swing that these guys can do a crap ton of damage as well. You really, really want to block it. As long as you have, I think, 50% stamina or so, it'll stagger you on their overhead swing, and he will pause long enough for you to recover and get the hell out of there. However, if your block breaks on one of his other attacks, that's not a guarantee. For example, his rolling attack. That attack right there, though, he gives you a chance to recover. The ones with the bows don't have near as much damage, or near as much health, but they have the potential to do a lot more damage, and they're ranged. Also, you can knock this guy right off the cliff. Like that. These guys drop like 200 souls apiece, which is not bad, actually, all things considered. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them? 9 of them? So you can get around 1,800 souls if you can kill them all, which is pretty good, all things considered, for this stage of the game. But as you can see, it's also a dangerous fight. I'm having to be really careful here, and this is why I died a lot in this area. After a bit, I was starting to get bored, and I just wanted to get through it. Bladestone, you do need Bladestone for my build. I'm going with a Dex build, and Bladestone is the main weapon stone for that. Pure Bladestone is one of the rarest stones in the game, though. I got lucky, luckier than I had any right to be, and I ended up with 2 pure blade stones for this playthrough. Before I had enough chunks to even max out the weapon on the chunk side. Show Tell, if it works like later games, I do believe it can actually pierce shields, even 100% block shields. It is considered a curved sword. I believe it comes with bleed, same as any other curved sword. Yeah, not much to say about it. I've never used it. But I do think it actually pierces shields. The idea is that it goes around the shield, so to speak. There is a shortcut you can use to get over this wall here. I use it later because I get tired of trying to get through the proper way, and I almost made it to the same spot, and then died, and I didn't want to deal with it again, so I just went around. I took the shortcut. Cheated a little bit. Anyway. There's our friend Vanguard Demon from the very beginning. Keep your shield up when going down this thing. You can avoid the trap. Well, you can't avoid setting it off, but you can avoid the damage by staying on the left or the right. Always leave your shield up anyway, though, just in case. Out here, you will find a dual katana black skeleton. This guy will mess you up. Almost all of his attacks can one-shot you. as you can see, I just backstab him, get him as far away from me as I can, and I'm after this item right here. Crescent Falchion. Crescent is a magic bonus damage. As you can see when I switch over to it, the damage is split 50-50, well, give or take, between magic and physical, and it scales off of magic, your magic stat, your intelligence stat, whatever. And because of that, it can deal damage to these enemies who are very resistant to physical. Not as much as some other weapons or pure magic or anything like that, but it's way more effective than current. And I do believe it comes with a MP regeneration effect as well. Not that that's really going to be a major thing for me right now, but I believe that's what that green sort of dome buff up under my health bar is that regeneration. As you can see, I put it back on, and if I remember right, I did like 20 damage with a backstab with the other weapon. And this one, if you run past him when he does that, yeah, it's doing almost 50. If you run past him when he's doing his leap attack, you can avoid being killed. It'll almost always miss you if you just run past him. Don't run at him, run past him. And you want to usually be running toward him before he jumps. Leave your shield up in case he doesn't jump. Always make sure you have full stamina, because these guys can really, really tear through your stamina. That was a risky move. Not one I would recommend, unless you know what you're doing. And as you'll probably notice a little later, me attempting that a few times got me killed. Up the stairs here. That's the path I'm planning on taking here in a little bit, but not at this moment. If you're looking to farm souls early on, the best thing to do is run up those stairs, kill the white skeletons up to the doorway, run out, kill the black skeleton, jump off the edge, and run right back to the bonfire. Warp stone, whatever you want to call it. And then basically just rest there and do the whole thing over again. That's probably the best souls per minute you're going to get in this area in the near term. The one guy fell off. Yep. I see him down there. I'm going to go kill him. Took a good chunk of my life with that arrow. So, up there, you'll see me looking at it. There is a, what do you call it? A crystal lizard there. Crystal lizards are, there's only one per, they only spawn once until you kill a boss. Then they spawn again. There's only so many bosses, so each time they spawn, they only spawn that number of times. Generally, there's 3 bosses per area, so you can get them potentially up to, you can kill them up to 3 or 4 times total. They all drop stones, upgrade stones. And if you know which ones you need, they can be very helpful. Unfortunately, not any of them, to my knowledge, drop blade stone. Which is the one I need for my weapon, my melee weapon. And only one crystal lizard in the entire freaking game drops spider stone, which is what I need for my bow. Which is irritating. My build is one of the hardest ones to make a build for, especially on a single playthrough. Requires a crap ton of farming, which I won't put you through. I got lucky, and the only reason I even went through as much... Normally, I'm used to just accepting a +4 Uchigatana, sharp Uchigatana, and +5 bow, because the bow is easier to get than the Uchigatana, but I had a hard time getting the mats for either one in this one, and I did get the pures, so for the Uchigatana, so I ended up with a +5 for both by the end. As you can see, I'm doing a lot more damage to these guys. And unfortunately, that makes me a little bit cocky, as you'll see here shortly. Otherwise, this is mostly the same. You go up, you drag this guy down. As long as you have the Thief's Ring on, you can pull this guy without aggroing the others. And you can kill the other two without aggro. You can kill the archer and that guy without aggroing the two at the top of the stairs. Thief's Ring can make a big difference in how you pull things. It's a whole lot easier to fight this guy if the archer loses interest in you, which he doesn't always, but sometimes he does. As you can see, I went from doing a quarter of this health with a backstab to doing like 2/3. So, I'm doing way better. Slash, slash, slash. Kill. And then if you do it right, the moment you can target this guy with your R3, usually he'll aggro. That's the range he's got. And then you can kill him down here, and since you're fighting further down, you don't have to worry as much about the other guy. One guy left. This episode is going to go until I get my Uchigatana. I do believe I actually get my bow as well. Both weapons I've got by the end of this episode. I don't get a whole lot more done in this episode. I start getting frustrated at a certain point after I've died 3 or 4 times. I just noticed that I missed an item over there on the left. Don't know if I ever use those. Don't forget to leave your shield up walking through here. As you can see, I avoid the damage, but it's better safe than sorry. And I believe I die here. I don't remember what I did to die, but probably I didn't put my shield up, or I decided to attack when I shouldn't, or when I should have backed off. Sometimes you're safer staying up close, but with these guys, because it's so easy to avoid their big hit that they use at range, sometimes it's better to back off and not heal right as he's doing that. Death number 3. Round 3 goes to me, so 2 out of 3 is not bad. But yeah, if you need to heal, don't try to do it on this platform. He can cover the entire platform too quickly. Especially if you don't know exactly what he's going to do, just drop off the backside. And then you can run back around. It's better than dying. Unless you're trying to die. But another Bladestone shard. I believe he can actually drop Bladestone in chunks as well. As you can see, I'm up to almost 10,000 souls, which normally would mean I run back and cash them in, but I decided to go do something else. It's usually best to clear this area before you go down there. Every once in a while, this guy will come over and say hi to you. The archers usually won't, though. But I also want also. There's also an item on the ground over on the left over here. I usually don't go get it. I usually don't go get it because I don't need it. Right here is the skip area. You'll see that later when I show you how to use it. There's a trap on the floor, which will kill you. As you can see, I walked right past it, and I think I took a hit. Didn't kill me, but there's things there and on the wall on the right. I don't really notice those initially, but I know about them now. So there's not very many safe spots in that room if you accidentally trigger that trap. So I don't recommend triggering that trap unless you know where you're standing or where you're going to roll to. I jump off here to finish off the skeleton that I knew fell off. And then I decide to run back, apparently. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going back to spend the souls since I have so many. Yep. Be right back. And we're back. I have almost no souls to lose, so I don't have to worry about them. Unfortunately, that leads to some problems. As you can see, I'm a lot more aggressive. And it gets me killed. Yeah. Anywho, let's try that again. Did I learn my lesson? Let's find out. First guy goes down. Not bad. Collect my 200 or something souls that I had picked up. 300, whatever. So far, so good. Down he goes. Moving on. Archer. Healing. While being attacked. Not the smartest move in the world. That was death number 5. I decided at this point to be a little bit more careful. And I haven't really been making much progress. Which has been getting kind of frustrating, as I'm sure you can imagine. Alright, so we are back roughly where we left off the last time. I just sort of sped up the last bit, if I remember to. Hopefully I did. Reaching for arrows that are not equipped. There's my arrows. As you can see, I was trying to predict where he was going to shoot and avoid it, and he decided to shoot off in the middle of nowhere anyway, so it didn't matter. For some reason, I always aim for the head, even though I don't believe they take extra damage in this one, like they do in later games. Just shooting a random arrow. Oh, after this guy. I don't think I actually managed to hit him. I fire a bunch of arrows. Oh, I did hit him. I didn't kill him. There's a difference. The one that flies overhead is a bit of a problem for the next area, because he likes to shoot huge spikes at you randomly. There is an audio cue, so you know when to dodge. But it comes with some drawbacks. And I believe my goal here is to kill Vanguard. Down there. Or at least get past him. I'm not sure which at this point. Pick up soul remains. I'm debating which way I want to go. And I decided I'm going to try the straightforward way. This was a mistake. Vanguard, the one you find here, is not the same one from the tutorial. He is, however, identical in moveset, but he hits about 10 times as hard. Remember in the tutorial how I was able to survive a hit? Albeit barely. I was able to survive a hit. I have not once survived a hit from this one. With or without a shield. As you can see. Bye-bye. Let's try this again. I'm looking for the guy overhead. The ray. There he is. One thing you can do, if you've got enough arrows and you're bored and you don't want to deal with fighting the Vanguard Demon normally, you can stand back and just shoot him full of arrows. It is a valuable tactic. He doesn't really move from that spot. He won't chase you around or anything like that. And he will die. I didn't want to do that. You can get close to him, let him do his sweep. That'll clear out a good area for you to get around. That can be helpful so you don't accidentally go to dodge something or walk around something and end up stuck. I was hoping to kill him here. Well, let's just say don't stand this close when he's doing his butt smash. Sound good? Good. Thinking about it. I think I just came back in to get my souls if I could. I wanted to get my souls out of there. And at a certain point, I decided, screw that. I don't need those souls. I'll go the other way. As you can see, even though I was on the left, I managed to get nicked by those bolts. Good thing I had my shield up. I think I killed the guy on the right before I go down here. Or I already killed him. I'm not sure which. Yeah, I killed him. Okay. And then, since I'm here, might as well. Preferably, I don't take hits from these guys. This did not go as planned. At all. And I think the same thing happens with the next one. Knock him off without killing him. And then follow. It's not the best way to do that. Generally, if they fall off and you don't need souls, just, you know, let them fall. Try not to fall after them. And you'll notice that I don't hold my shield up running through there a second time. It's because once the trap triggers, you don't need to worry about it. debating on my souls again. Decide not to. This is where I try to kill the crystal lizard, but I cannot seem to hit him. And honestly, even now, I don't know why none of these arrows hit. I was trying different angles, etc., etc. I could not get him to hit. I think I actually concluded that maybe I was remembering wrong and there was no crystal lizard there. Because I was going by memory when I started shooting up there. And I thought I could see something that looked like a crystal lizard. So I decided, well, okay, maybe my memory was wrong. And I just moved on. Or they changed it. Not sure which. Get rid of the skeleton here, because I don't want him shooting me while I'm walking around under him. Or dropping down and shooting me in the back when I'm not paying attention. The bow I'm after is actually right there. See the glowy blue things down at the end? You remember how hard it was to fight the skeletons out in the open? Well, fighting them in here is a bit more hard. You need to keep your stamina near maxed. Avoid whatever hits you can. And just take a couple of hits and get the hell out of there. Try not to get hit by the overhead if you can avoid it. Only attack after they've been staggered. And you should be fine. Should be. I will not promise that. You're about to be ambushed on the right while you're standing there. Hi. Boom. Broke my shield. Broke my shield again. But you'll notice when they break your shield with that huge overhead smash, they tend to give you enough time to recover afterward. So that is a big help. Always keep your shield up wandering around in here. These guys come out of nowhere. And there's not much room to dodge. This is one reason I always carry a shield. Some people know the game well enough to avoid all that. I don't. I think I take a few pot shots at some rays here. This is a good spot to shoot at them, but yeah. And there is the compound longbow. That is going to be my bow for, well, the rest of the game. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little bit more damage than my current one, but not by a huge amount. But it will become far more powerful later. It does require 22 strength. However, since it's a two-handed weapon, my strength is multiplied by 1.5, and since I have 16 at the moment, that gives me 24 strength when dual wielding, effectively. So it does not matter that it requires 22 strength at the moment. I'm not sure why they don't allow you to... Well, I know why they don't allow you to one-hand a bow. I don't know why they don't change the rules for them. Up here, you'll find Sparkly the Crow. You can trade items with him. I do not have or understand at all what you can trade or know what you can trade for what. I couldn't even begin to give you that list. It's on the wiki. Look it up. You basically just drop an item at the bottom, reload the game, come back, and pick up your item. Yeah, and then if you drop down here, I find out that there is a crystal lizard here, and I ignore the item, drop down to kill the crystal lizard, because I don't know what it drops. I don't know if it'll be useful to me. I do believe it's moonstone, or moonshadow stone, which is actually what you would use if I wanted to upgrade the crescent, moonshade stone, the crescent weapon that I'm carrying. But I don't have any blacksmith that can do that. I actually don't think I end up upgrading it at all. I consider upgrading it, but I don't think I ever do. Then I have to run all the way back around because there was an item that I left behind in order to chase down that crystal lizard. Crystal lizards are kind of funny. In theory, unless they die, they will keep respawning until you loot them. However, if they run off a cliff, they're considered dead. And then sometimes when they burrow into the ground, they fall through the world, which is considered a death. And then you don't get your item, and they don't respawn. So, I generally try not to take chances with them. So, there's that. I've had at least one of them, I think in this playthrough, escape while I was farming, and he did not respawn. So I'm not 100% sure on the rules, but I believe that's how they work. There's a hidden door here. This is actually a way to bypass the Vanguard Demon if you're not wanting to deal with him. Also, it unlocks a vendor. A vendor that you really want to get unlocked now rather than wait until later so you don't have to come back. Because you're going to need him. And I got attacked. Luckily, only one of them came after me. If I hadn't been wearing the Thief's Ring, they both would have come after me. Wait until he gets staggered, back off. Hit him while he's staggered, back off. Your stamina recovers so much faster when your shield's not up, so if you know that you've got a safe second or two, drop your shield, let it recover as much as it can. I got lucky there he didn't go for an overhead. If he had, I probably would have died. That's my exit, so I turn around and go back. So I can unlock the vendor back here. I do not remember if there was an enemy back here or not, so that's why my shield's up. I picked up the key earlier. I believe it was the one right next to that trap. Come in here and grab a few items. I think I ended up buying a bunch of arrows off of him after looking through his inventory.
I can't believe I fell for that.
Because I didn't remember what he has. He also sells a couple of sticky white stuff. There is a limited amount of sticky white stuff that you can buy. You can farm as much as you want, but it only drops in one area later on in this world. He only sells 2. That's why it's got a little 2 next to it on the left. Anything that doesn't have a number at all is unlimited. And then once the sticky white stuff runs out, I think it turns gray. You can't buy anymore. Ugh, sorry about that. It's late. Anyway, I look through, debate, and I think I just end up buying a bunch of arrows. Don't remember if they were wooden or not, but debating if I want to get more armor, but I've got decent armor already for what I have. Nice, solid amount.
Satisfied? Maybe.
And then I promptly forget he exists because he's going to be in a much more accessible spot later. That's much easier to get to. Gotta be careful coming out of here because remember those rays overhead, they will detect you if they happen to be overhead and they'll start shooting at you. They can pierce through stuff a little bit, so if your head's too close to that floor, they can hit you. I think I killed the one that flies overhead here just for that reason. We're behind the Vanguard Demon, and this is the other item we were here for. And I don't have space. This is why I empty my inventory. As you can see, I run back underneath here to avoid the rays shooting at me. And I just start clearing out my inventory. I'm just sending it all to storage. Including all the weapons I've been randomly picking up. I don't know why I don't send the light crossbow back. I don't ever plan on using it. But I kept it. Get rid of the armor I'm not using. And this is also where I found out that you can't send back fully equipped items. You can only send back all but one of them, and I think I ended up having to go back and fix it before I send them back. And this is where I'm realizing that grass is heavy. And here is my Uchigatana. I should have known better than this. It's almost useless compared to the Crescent Falchion right now. I mean, it does like a little over 100 damage compared to like 150 damage, I think, with the Crescent. 85, 67, so that's 140. Yeah, like 150, 160 damage. And a good chunk of the Crescent Falchion's damage is magic. But I swapped to it anyway because why not? And I decided I'm going to try to move on. After playing with it a little bit. As you can see, it's relatively fast. It covers a wide area. It's got the stab attack. I don't know who he was shooting at. And one of these days I'll learn to lead targets. That almost killed me. I'm really bad at shooting these guys. I get better at it later. Not that much better, but I get better. There's a couple of items down here I'm aiming to get, but I also don't want to get shot. So I'm waiting for them to come back around so I can hopefully clear the air a little bit. I'm really overestimating what my bow's capabilities are here. There it is. Shoot the wall randomly for fun. I never plan to use Cloudstone, so I don't know why I bother going out of my way to collect it, even if I know for sure that's what it is. Oh yeah, perfect time to just stand there staring out in the middle of nowhere when you got these manta rays flying around. That's a good way to survive. So there's a black skeleton off to my left, inside that little alcove up there. The ladder goes up above his head, but I need to go past him. And as you'll see later, going past him, trying to ignore him outright can be a problem. So here, I use the arrow to drag this guy over to me. That's something I do a lot, even when I'm wanting to melee an enemy instead of shoot them with arrows. I'll use arrows to tag them and drag them to me. Doesn't work so well with archers because they like to just stand still. Still out of force of habit, I still aim for head. Hello, bye. I have not at this point realized I can zoom in with the bow yet. I don't think I figured that out till a little later. Go up here, get the item that's above the black skeleton's head. I also haven't realized I can climb faster yet. You'll see him down there on the left. Just down in there somewhere. There he is. And this is where I realized I can climb faster. For all of 3 feet. And this is where I remembered that my Uchigatana is useless. 25 damage. And the backstab takes absolutely forever to go through. 25. But I also realize at this point that that's probably the safest way to deal with this. Just keep waiting for the backstabs. Keep baiting that double slash. And then back off. And do it again. after this, I think I go back and I get my magic up to 10, so I can use this flame toss, so I don't have to deal with them like this again. They take a fair amount of fire damage, and it only takes like 3 or 4 flame tosses to kill one of these guys. Unfortunately, I've only got the mana to, or MP to cast 8 to 10 flame tosses, so I can take out 2 of these guys with that. Unfortunately, I'm also very adamant about using a weapon after I pick it up. If for no other reason, then it gets me used to it, its speeds and its capabilities. And down he goes. And I got another Bladestone Shard, which actually makes it worthwhile. Adjudicator Shield is a good shield, but it is not a 100%. It does come with a health regeneration effect. That can actually be a big help at times, depending on what you're doing. Especially if you're just running through a level. I don't think I ever use it for that. But, like, when you're running around for the incidental, passive chip damage you take, it'll actually recover it. Albeit slowly, but it'll recover it. And it's also helpful if you're going to run Cursed Weapon or the, whatchamacallit. Oh yeah, I look at the trap there, and then walk over and trigger it, and then pick up an item while arrows are being shot into my back. Not the smartest thing I've ever done. Anyway, let's try that again. Shall we? Pick up my souls. And I remember to turn around and block the arrows. All good. And unfortunately, I didn't bring much in the way of healing on this run. And this episode's pretty much over. I got what I needed. I'm going to die here in just a few minutes, and I'm going to call it here. I died a lot on this level, just trying to figure out how to get through it, and forcing my way through. I've got what I needed, and this is where I decided I'm going to go do something else, because, like I said, I got what I needed. I'm going to move on. And I'll come back later when I'm a little stronger. And so, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And the next episode will be a lot less dying, I hope. Anyway, Guggen out. I will leave you with the rest of this episode to finish off, and you can enjoy my final death of this episode.